Welcome back to the Mining Pod. On today's show, we're joined by Auradine, a new Bitcoin mining ASIC manufacturer coming to market. We talk about the unit specs, the team behind the machine, and how they expect to compete in an ever-crowded market. Did you know that you can make more money by merge mining other networks? Check out makemoremoneymining.com for information on BIPs 300 and 301, a proposal to bring more revenue to Bitcoin miners through sidechains and merge mining called drive chains. Increase your mining revenues and learn more about participating in Bitcoin governance by visiting makemoremoneymining.com. Are you a miner who wants to activate Bitcoin improvements? Check out activation.watch. See what Bitcoin improvements the Bitcoin community, developers, and miners are considering, and show support by signaling for one of many BIPs up for consideration. Activation.watch. Filecoin's mission is to create a decentralized, efficient, and robust storage infrastructure for humanity's information. Join the Filecoin Foundation team October 3rd through 5th for Phil Vegas, the first major Filecoin community event in North America in 2023, to explore how to adapt data storage for an AI-centric future. Participate in conversations and hear keynotes focus on the importance of data integrity in the world of artificial intelligence. Register to attend and learn more at phil-vegas.io, and make sure to use promo code MiningPod.
Hey MiningPod, I'm Lee Bratcher, president of the Texas Blockchain Council. The Texas Blockchain Summit is now the North American Blockchain Summit. The same emphasis on policy, energy, and Bitcoin mining, but now expanded by working with our partners across the country. We've got great sponsors lined up like Riot, Marathon, GDA, CleanSpark, BitDeer, Lancium, Cormint, Compass, HTS, Crypto Power, Priority Power, Sonoda, and many more. Solidify your next deal or JV, or just come for the networking on November 15th through 17th in Fort Worth, Texas, for the 3rd annual North American Blockchain Summit. We'll see you there.
Hello, welcome back to the Mining Pod. I'm Will Foxley, joined today by Rajiv and Barun from Auradine. Thank you so much for joining today. We're really excited to talk about the new ASIC product you guys are bringing to the market. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us, Will.
Definitely. The market's been clamoring to know more about you guys. The first time I heard about you was from someone who reads into Marathon Digital's deep SEC letters that they put out there, their filings, and they're like, what is this company, Auradine? What's going on with this? And people are wondering about it. And then we found out this summer, you guys went public, you guys raised $81 million, and there's a lot of momentum around the product you guys are bringing to market. So that's why we're having you on the show today, because people have a lot of questions. I'm sure you guys are excited to start producing a new miner for the Bitcoin mining market. So let's just start there. If we could get an intro for both you guys, like your past backgrounds, what Auradine is doing, and then also on the product.
My name is Rajiv Khemani. I am a Silicon Valley technology executive and entrepreneur. I've been in Silicon Valley for 30 plus years, have been involved in multiple successful startup companies, as well as being a C-level executive in public companies. My background is in computer science and engineering, and then also an MBA from Stanford. And this is my 4th startup that we believe is going to be bigger and better than those other companies before this. Barun?
Yeah, my name is Barun Kar. So my last company was Palo Alto Networks, where I was in the founding team, and did 2 more startups before that, and I started my career off at Motorola after I finished my PhD.
Awesome. Thanks for that background. Yeah, Fortune just did a great piece on you guys for like detailing the company, and they started from the question like, how did this company raise $81 million? Just like on the background here, and maybe you guys have some disagreements with that, but that aside, I like the ending of the whole Fortune piece, which we'll link in the show notes, which is, and you guys are coming into a crowded market and raised a lot of money based on your background, based on the things that you guys have built before and exited from successfully. So with that being said, let's talk about Auradine, the product that you guys are bringing to market, and where you see it fitting into the competition landscape.
Yeah, we started Auradine with a big vision, and the vision was to build an infrastructure company for the next generation of the web infrastructure. And we believe that blockchain, AI, and privacy are fundamental building blocks that will really revolutionize how we all work and play. And we think that as we started to look at these spaces, we started with blockchain, Bitcoin being the biggest blockchain and the most successful that there is. And then during that process, we connected with Marathon. And what we said is, what can we do that's innovative and different than what has existed before us? And prior to us, as you know, what has happened is that Bitcoin mining has gone from CPUs to GPUs to ASICs, and then all of the ASIC providers have essentially been Chinese companies. And so what we saw was two things. One is that we need to provide a very robust US supplier of this technology, which is very important, especially for US and North American miners in general. So that was a very important aspect. But the second aspect was to do something that is much more symbiotic and constructive for the energy ecosystem. And so we have done a lot of innovation in bringing out this product, which is our very first product. It's the first 4 nanometer ASIC in the world. And we've executed extremely fast. When people look at us, that literally from start to getting a product out in the market is not much greater than a year. We have executed extremely fast on this. As you can imagine, we have an amazing roadmap in front of us, and we have some amazing capabilities in our first product. So we are super excited to bring the Teraflux mining product line to market.
Awesome. Yeah, so just kind of going on that whole line, tell me a little bit about like the market you guys are building in. I noticed that you guys are building within the US, that's opposed to Bitmain and others who are building mostly out of East Asia. Bitmain, of course, has like moved its facilities a lot of times, and they're mostly out of Malaysia. But then even like the chips themselves are coming out of Taiwan, or in the case of MicroBT, they're coming out of South Korea. Tell me about your guys' supply chain, where you guys get your ASIC parts, and how you guys choose to manufacture your whole machine.
Yes. So I'll give an overview and Barun can add to it. But essentially, well, first of all, we are a US company. So we are a US incorporated company. Secondarily, the chip design is entirely done in the US. So we are based in Silicon Valley. All of our engineers are based here. So that's a second very important piece of it. So all of the intellectual property, the technology, the patents, and so forth are, housed in the United States. So that's second. The third thing that we are doing is that we are, in terms of the foundries, we are working with the leading foundries. But what we paid extra attention to is that whatever technology that we use has a manufacturing plant in the United States. Now, turns out the two leading foundries, TSMC and Samsung, both have US manufacturing locations, and we wanted to make sure that those chips could be manufactured in the US. Very, very important aspect for us. And so, even though some of the Chinese companies have moved to other parts, the reality is that the US has restrictions about access to leading edge process technology. There are tariffs. Are those companies bypassing tariffs using certain corporate models or not? Those are questions that are yet to be answered completely, but we are offering a very, very clean alternative to that for the US vendors.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's go into the product itself a little bit more. And I like what you noted about like the different stuff on tariff restrictions. I think the geopolitical issue with ASIC importation itself is an undiscussed topic. So from what we're seeing from the public numbers right now, it looks like you guys have released 22 joules per terahash for this machine with a plus or minus 8%. Curious a little bit more about some of these details. You guys can take this question as you want. Is this on the chip level or the system level? What do you think about that 8% deviation from the 22 joules per terahash? Is that like higher or lower than you're seeing from competitors? And then from there, let's talk about the 4 nanometer chip that you guys are working on.
Yeah. So the first product is 4 nanometers. The specs that we've done are at a system level, not at a chip level, because at the end of the day, customers care about system level specs. And then the plus or minus 8%, what happens is when you're in the leading edge process technology node and you're building this silicon, when you're manufacturing the silicon, there's a deviation in the capabilities of the silicon. And so that is really to capture that. Now, in terms of our competitors, we've seen numbers that are plus or minus 5, and actually in other cases, plus or minus 10% as well. Now, we are early in the game, so as we get more and more learnings from building larger quantities of products, we can refine those numbers, make it a little more tighter. We may be able to improve some of these efficiency numbers as well. But we are coming from the point of view of being somewhat conservative. Other vendors before us have tried to be aggressive and then have missed expectations. And we hear that from customers, and so our goal, based on our prior track records, is to try to see if we can be somewhat conservative and delight people on the upside. So that's our philosophy. Barun, anything?
No, I think that's
Great. I don't know if you guys have released these numbers. I'd just be curious to see if you have or have not, but hash rate and then power at the wall. Have you guys discussed those publicly yet?
Yeah, the hash rates, what the world before our product, which is up till now, is that typically people give you a miner that runs at a certain terahash rate and has a certain, efficiency. And what happens is that today, if you want to be able to go up and down, people refer to that as overclock or underclock. That requires either a firmware change or a different firmware, or you have to change the control board, or you have to write software on top of it to turn on and off these systems. Very kludgy. It's really, I would say it's still in the dark ages, so to speak, relative to the rest of the technology infrastructure. And that's because Bitcoin came from being more of a hobbyist product to the data center scale product, and it has done a bunch of patchwork along the way. What we have in our systems is we have built in from the ground up the capability to go up and down in terahash rates, all the way from 0 to 185 in our air-cooled systems, in our immersion systems to much higher numbers, some of which we haven't disclosed. We have, and you can do that very fast. And that's super important for people who want to work with energy partners to bring down energy consumption and take advantage of some of those curtailment related economics that we get in a very rapid time frame. So we have all of those capabilities built into the system. We refer to that as Energy Tune. It's patented technology. And I think people are going to love it when they see it. So we've done that. But in addition, what we've also done is we've made sure that these systems keep operating at high temperature ranges, which again is critical. As you know, in certain parts of the country, temperatures are getting hotter than they used to be, and miners are shut down for 10, 20, 30% of the time. In our case, it will keep running and will keep hashing and keep providing the economics to the miners.
Awesome. For the 4 nanometer part, I want to go back to that. The energy efficiency, there's this general idea that as we go down the size of the node from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4, it's supposed to become more energy efficient. Tell me a little bit about that and the energy efficiencies you guys are capturing within your new model, and then also how it compares to the market as of now.
Yeah, so today most of the products that are shipping are in 5 nanometer or older process nodes. To achieve energy efficiency, you do need leading edge process technology. In addition, what you also need is design and architecture to enable that. These Bitcoin mining systems run at very, very low voltages. And to make that work at very low voltages relative to every other product is a complex engineering and technology effort. And so we have both of those things in motion. As I said, we started the company literally a year and a half ago, and we have brought to market a product in record time, matching the best in class that exists in the world today. We have, more tricks up our sleeve as we bring additional products to the world in, at halving and beyond. And we believe we are going to be, the best in the world, if not within plus or minus a few percent of the best in the world, both now as well as we go forward. So super confident of that. Right now, as you know, the world is in kind of the 21 plus or minus in terms of deployments. We think it's going to get much better than here. But when we talk to customers, we see there are certain customers that are very sensitive in cost of the miners. Others are more sensitive in the energy efficiency. But both of them care extremely about the variability and the energy tune features, which we think is going to become a must-have requirement going forward.
So yeah, let's talk about the auto tune features that you guys have put into this. From my understanding, there's a patent around this. How do you guys look at this technology compared to some of the other technologies that are out there? I mean, there's definitely lots of different firmware options for controlling a miner and controlling its temperature setting. What are you guys sort of doing different when you're building this unit holistically?
Yeah, very different than anything that has been done before, right? So in the past, typically the at a single miner level, you could actually run it at a certain terahash rate or shut down the miner, put it in sleep mode. Then more recently, people have started to put together an eco mode, if you will. That's the state of the art that exists today. Okay. And what people have tried to do is solve some of these fundamental problems through putting, software level turning on and off of the miners. Not the most efficient way to do it. What we have done it is things that are inside a miner. Okay. And so we have these capabilities that are unique, very different than anything else that's been done before, where inside the miner, through API calls, the hardware is able to take, change and adjust the various terahash rates and so forth. And all you do is you just give all these inputs to the miner, and the miner figures out how to do it and does it, rather than trying to do it in a kludgy fashion outside through some software mechanisms. So that's very different, and that's where we have a patent for the energy tune and auto tune capabilities. As you might expect, things like Bitcoin price, energy cost, transaction fees, um, temperature, all of those are inputs into trying to figure out what is the optimal point for the miner to run. More and more variables are coming into the picture.
And top it off, also, Autotune has the ability to go to like tens of thousands of miners and be able to do energy tune on each of them at the get-go. And we are trying to get to a point where we can do it in a few seconds, so that it is in line with customer requirements, where curtailment can happen at that short period of time. Now, there's a distinct difference between, so the auto tune is one feature, and there's the energy tune is the another feature. Now, the energy tune also, to couple with what Rajiv mentioned, we are using machine learning techniques to do dynamic voltage frequency scaling, so that each chip can be tuned to get to the optimal joules per terahash.
Are you a retail or institutional investor interested in Bitcoin mining companies? The Miner Mag brings you free data and analysis from all major NASDAQ-listed Bitcoin mining operations to know who stands out. Check out visualized metrics and data-dependent stories at theminermag.com. Filecoin's mission is to create a decentralized, efficient, and robust storage infrastructure for humanity's information. Join the Filecoin Foundation team October 3rd through 5th for Phil Vegas, the first major Filecoin community event in North America in 2023, to explore how to adapt data storage for an AI-centric future. Participate in conversations and hear keynotes focus on the importance of data integrity in the world of artificial intelligence. Register to attend and learn more at phil-vegas.io, and make sure to use promo code MiningPod. Did you know that you can make more money by merge mining other networks? Check out makemoremoneymining.com for information on BIPs 300 and 301, a proposal to bring more revenue to Bitcoin miners through sidechains and merge mining called drive chains. Increase your mining revenues and learn more about participating in Bitcoin governance by visiting makemoremoneymining.com. Are you a miner who wants to activate Bitcoin improvements? Check out activation.watch. See what Bitcoin improvements the Bitcoin community, developers, and miners are considering, and show support by signaling for one of many BIPs up for consideration. Activation.watch. Let's talk about the Bitmain release that came out yesterday. So Bitmain made some news with the S21 announcement. They have an S21 and S21 Pro model. And notably, they said that the new model will be able to perform at an efficiency under 20 joules per terahash, which obviously caught a lot of people's eyes because Bitcoin mining is a race to a bottom in terms of energy costs. How do you guys look at this market, and how do you guys look at Bitmain, which of course is like the competitor that everyone's gunning for? I mean, I can name a few other ASIC providers that are also in the race with you guys, but at the end of the day, most people are trying to eat into Bitmain's market cap. So looking at yesterday and looking at your product as of now and the future roadmap, how do you guys think about all the news that you're seeing right now in the ASIC market?
Yeah, I think Bitmain is a good company in terms of delivering products over many years. And you know, frankly, the world needs better energy efficiency. I think that's good for the planet. It's good for all of us. It's good for the Bitcoin industry. I think getting more and more energy efficient products is an important part. We are going to do similar things. We are actually already working on some really breakthrough things on our roadmap. And I think those are needed as we go past the halving window. And I think that as I said earlier, you know, Bitmain is a good product. Of course, they have a lot of Chinese connections, just like some of the other ASIC providers as well. I think people have deployed a lot of Bitmain. I think that they will continue to deploy Bitmain, assuming those specs are actually true, and we'll see how that product ramps and what's the quality and so forth. It'll take time. It's they announce the product, but I think meaningful shipments are expected really, if I read some of those things, in the second half of next year. And then in the second half of next year, we're going to have some interesting products as well. So we are very happy that the world is trying to reduce energy consumption. We think that there ought to be multiple vendors that provide extremely energy efficient products. But at the same time, I think that some of the things that we have that are unique are, as we mentioned, the energy tune and auto tune, which are critical for, and then making these systems run in harsh environments or in immersion environments with very high hashing density. That's where we believe that we have some unique advantages.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of want to delve into that a little bit more. Some of these unique advantages are great, and they're a reason for launching a product itself, but the product itself can be very hard to get to market because people have relationships with Bitmain or they have relationships with MicroBT. The MicroBT story is instructive, right? Because Bitmain had a power dispute between the two CEOs, and then there sort of became like this issue with Bitmain being able to bring a product to market, and MicroBT kind of squeezed in there and was able to assert itself and get maybe around 15 to 20% of the market. Do you guys see like a need for another event like that to be able to pop up? Or do you think that you guys have sort of found a way around that by working with a Marathon Digital or working with other miners? Like, how do you guys see yourselves going into this market and firming your product up for large orders and sales?
Well, customer reception is exceptional, very strong. Okay, so um, actually, we are extremely pleased with the engagements. As you can imagine, we are a B2B company. We are not selling to people at home. We are only working with customers that have large scale deployments. And we have at this point early access engagements with about 10 of them. We are going to be extremely booked with everything that we have. So we are extremely pleased. What we've heard from customers, and just repeating some of the customers, what we are hearing from, they're saying that, look, we buy a lot from Bitmain, we'll continue to buy a lot from Bitmain, but we really do want to make sure that maybe 25% or so of our deployments are working with you. And we understand, there will be times when Bitmain is better or you are better, but we want to make sure that we have that resilient supply chain. And so the level of support we are seeing from our customers is just tremendous, and we are very grateful.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what that market looks like. I'm curious what other companies you see as direct competitors besides Bitmain. Is there anyone else that you're looking at being like, this is someone we should be paying attention to, or we like what they're doing and mimicking with them, or even other companies that you're like want to partner with, given that it's not an extremely crowded room, but like there are definitely a lot of elbows out there in the ASIC market.
Yeah, a lot of people have tried and a lot of people have gone away because it's not for the faint of heart. It's leading edge process technology. It requires not just silicon, but it requires system, it requires software, it requires some ML and some of the dynamic voltage and frequency scaling capabilities. So there's a number of things that are needed all together, right? So a lot of people that have tried to take a shot and have backed away is that they didn't have all of the pieces in place. Now, the thing that we are very interested in is in partnering. And the things we want to do relative to partnering is We already have a partnership with IntelliBreeze, which is the awesome miner, as well as Foreman, right? So we have a close partnership. What we want to do is, through our APIs, make those products better and more capable. So that's number one. Second is we are partnering with some of the energy providers who are interested in this space to stabilize the demand supply and modernize the grids and do more renewable infrastructure. So we are working with those guys in terms of partnerships. There are certain companies that we are working with that are brokers between the energy utility companies and the miners, and bringing certain very interesting capabilities that you'll see from us over the next few quarters.
Love it. Okay, let's talk about the other part of your product that you guys are bringing to market in the near future. You guys also list privacy and AI tooling as things that you might be looking at in the near future, but you're starting with Bitcoin mining. And there's a host of questions we could talk about that. Honestly, it could be a whole other hour of the show, right? Because that market is only growing right now. But I'd be curious to know about like how you guys see your roadmap from Bitcoin mining to some of these other acceleration tools, these computation tools you guys are going to build. What are like the next things you guys are looking at? And if you're not ready to say that, what are some things that you're interested in building, and how do you guys see that pairing with your Bitcoin mining products?
Yes, excellent. And so clearly we are working on these, so can't tell you too many details, but certainly would want to provide your listeners a flavor of the kinds of things we are looking at. So first is, as we said earlier, Barun was on the founding team of Palo Alto Networks. We have a lot of folks in the company that have very strong security background. We have people in the company that have very strong silicon background, system level, and software as a service. So we bring to bear these competencies, which we believe is a unique set of competencies. Now, going forward, let's talk about each of those. So let's talk privacy and AI. What's happening with privacy is that there's technologies like zero knowledge proofs that are extremely exciting, but the market for zero knowledge proof is still small. And people have said that there is similar ASICs that may be needed in this space. Okay. And what we are looking at is trying to figure out what are the right applications that will go to market first and that can leverage some of our competencies and bring those to market. So those are, you could argue, very similar to what we have done for Bitcoin. We could do that and really propel the adoption of best-in-class privacy technologies. Okay, so that's number one. On AI, what has happened is that a lot of the data center operators in the world want products to put in AI products to put in their data centers, right? So a lot of the Bitcoin data center companies are looking at doing AI stuff, right? But the stuff, if you can actually take some equipment that exists today in a Google or Microsoft data center and put it in the edge data center or a Bitcoin data center, but that's not very differentiated. And what we are looking at is trying to provide certain interesting capabilities that again leverage some of our competencies and bring to market certain security and privacy technologies that are very critical for the AI and especially generative AI world, which will only get adopted once those security and privacy technologies are available and implemented.
Yeah, follow up on the zero knowledge part. So definitely have been paying attention to that space for a while, more on the programming side. So some of the zero knowledge rollups definitely are going to be a place for possible future adoption of this technology. And there's even some people on Bitcoin who want to see that happen. How do you see like these market cycles working together? However, given that like Bitcoin mining has this 4-year cycle, right? That's very difficult to play, even for manufacturers, though they seem to have the easiest time with it. But if you guys take on another product that perhaps has a different commodity life cycle to it, how do you guys see that balancing internally with Bitcoin mining or other products that you bring to market?
Well, diversification is an important aspect. We want to have a diversified portfolio. As you know, Bitcoin goes up and down. Um, you know, both Bitcoin price as well as the price of these miners swing extremely wildly. So I think that volatility should go down with all these ETFs coming on in the near future, as well as a greater understanding and regulatory, hopefully some regulatory clarity in that area. But these other technologies are equally critical for the future of the web, we believe. We think both AI and privacy are massive, probably in some cases bigger than what Bitcoin is today. And and I think the fundamental silicon and the security capabilities we have and the crypto capabilities are applicable across all of these three areas.
Interesting. Okay, so you're saying the commodities life cycle will take care of itself because you guys have diversified things, but also on the product side, you guys are able to perhaps work with the same partners from like the foundry levels and then like the form factor itself.
Yes.
Interesting.
And then some of
Okay.
the energy tune, auto tune capabilities are applicable in these other product lines. The low power capabilities are applicable in these other product lines. Low power is not just a Bitcoin issue; it's a planet issue. And I think to the extent we can drive greater sustainability across various technologies, I think the world needs it.
Definitely. Okay, we'll sunset that last question and move to some business stuff just to end the show on. Marathon Digital has about $35 million in common stock in Auradine, according to public filings. And then Fred Thiel, who's been on this show a few times, is also on your board of directors, which seems like a great partnership. It really fits into what Marathon has been preaching for quite a while, right? They're trying to have like this vertical stack where they can control the miners and then start controlling different parts of it. It seems like that seems to be like their mode production. How do you guys think about working with public miners? You guys went out there initially to work with Marathon Digital, but do you have an interest in working with other miners as well? Or do you guys want to like really stick with Marathon here and like build out with them?
No, we want to work with all miners. Okay, so that's very, very clear. We are not a we are a we are a standalone company, right? We are not a subsidiary of Marathon. Marathon is a very small shareholder in us, and so we want to work with a broad set of customers. So that's absolutely clear. We have clearly mechanisms in place to firewall information as needed by certain other customers. So we are very careful of that as well. Having said that, Marathon is a great partner, right? And so they have given us a tremendous set of requirements. So we are working with them. We also will make that available to any other large customer. If there's any large US miners that want to invest in us, we welcome it. We would be open to that investment if there is interest. And so, so we want to work with, frankly, all of the top miners in the United States as well as in the rest of the world.
Gotcha. And how do you guys look at different miner strategies and then fit your product towards them? Because that was the one thing that I thought about with Marathon. I mean, they have a hosting model where they've hosted with a lot of different companies, say in Texas and North Dakota, but they've also been recently moving into the Middle East. And to my knowledge, it's going to be using like a lot of immersion technology. And every miner out there sort of seems to have slightly different strategy. So from a product perspective, what are you guys thinking about being able to diversify as you work with these other miners?
Yeah, so I think we have spoken to a bunch of customers, a bunch of these miners, and they have subtle different requirements. And again, we are a very B2B company, so we would love to work. I mean, we are working closely with a lot of miners to alleviate their pain points. Okay, the common theme across all the miners is, of course, the ability to do, to be operate in harsh environments, the ability to bring the power up and down, the energy tune and the auto tune feature. That's common across all the miners. But if there is subtle changes from that, we are going to work with in a B2B fashion with each of these miners to take care of their requirements. So essentially, since we are not working with mom and pop shops, this is some of the advantages we can give to other miners.
So we are open to doing custom products based on the business case, of course, but we are flexible on that.
Gotcha. Great. Okay, let's close up with just like some information on the future roadmap, what you guys are excited for Auradine. I mean, you guys are shipping product pretty soon here, which I'm sure must feel awesome after only launching the company 18 months ago. But what are some things people should be looking out for from you guys?
Yeah, I mean, right now we are rolling out the product. We have tremendous demand. We want to ramp up to that demand. We continue to work with our supply chain to bring the cost down. That is very important aspect to us for us to be deliver world-class pricing. We want actually our customers to check out our total cost of ownership. We believe we deliver 35 or maybe 40% or 50% better total cost of ownership through all these capabilities that we are offering. So we want people to check it out in their specific environments and see how it fits. We are looking for feedback from our early customers so we can keep getting better. And meanwhile, internally, we are executing on some follow-on chips and systems that we will announce in due course of time.
Awesome. Rajiv, Barun, thank you so much for joining the Mining Pod. Look forward to seeing you guys launch your product. Best of luck with that. See you guys again on the show soon.